Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, we are destroying my city, one area at a time, and replacing it with something that is hopefully better.
Previously,
we renovated the entire rural area of the city. Now we have giant, luscious, sprawling farmland, a means of clean energy production, and also this giant motorway. In this episode, we are turning our attention to the beach. So my first thought is that we have to clean up this beachfront area by removing my music festival and Mickey Mouse's clubhouse, and then that kind of leaves us with a massive gap, which I think would actually be filled nicely if we rotate the aquarium and the water park. And we just have to build some boundaries around these so that they don't just drop off into the ocean. And beyond that, I also wanted to extend the beach road all the way across to the canal area where we have placed the factory and the warehouse. This area has had a little bit of an upgrade recently with Bluey's house and Lilo and Stitch's house, so I thought that'd be a nice idea as well just to shift things across and pack things in a little bit tighter. Not only that, we also have to add a little bit of landscaping around this area as well. It doesn't make sense that our sandbanks would just drop straight off a cliff like they have, so we have turned them into a more natural shape. It just occurred to me that a good place to have a more industrial district would actually be right here near the beach. So I'm going to clean up the water park here, maybe give it a bit of a car park, but what I also need to do is extend a rather large road so that we can place those more industrial builds. We can at the very least start off with my recent warehouse build and my recent factory build. And there's plenty of others that are suitable here too. But before we place any other builds, I had a burning desire to move my IKEA and zoo and place a modern hotel. It makes sense that we have some hotels along the beachfront so that people can kind of stay here as a holiday destination. I also realized that this hotel in particular would actually look really good if we mirrored it and attached it to itself. So whether these are two separate hotels or whether it is just kind of like one big hotel, I think that this looks really cool. Through the unstoppable power of ADD, I then got to thinking about the ocean, more specifically about the underwater tunnel, and what a cool idea it was. But the problem is, it wasn't really being utilised because it kind of just extended into the middle of nowhere. So I thought it'd be a good idea to rotate it, and we can build it across the ocean and connect to our factory/industrial area. The specifics of this aren't very important, but we just extend the tunnel across, build up some landscape around it. I'm building some rocky formations, not only along the actual sandbanks, but also along my holiday park as well, which look fantastic, I think. And I also had to move the Titanic because it was kind of directly over the underwater tunnel, so I've just moved it a little bit more inland. Whilst I was in the middle of the ocean, I had an epiphany that I could cluster together some builds deeper in the city to fill in this weird space that we have next to the industrial area. I think a good beachside set of builds includes a pizzeria, which we're using the Five Nights at Freddy's pizzeria for, an ice cream shop, and a donut shop. I did also consider placing them along the actual beachfront as well, but I decided against it. I thought that this would look a bit more interesting, which of course naturally leads us back to the industrial area itself. I added another warehouse and Acme Labs. Acme Labs is from Pinky and the Brain, but it's effectively just a large factory. I also recolored the second warehouse just to kind of fit the vibe of Acme Labs a little bit better and just to have a little bit of variance. I also recolored the lorries as well. Back to the beachfront. I really love these three builds. The Drunken Clam, which is effectively a pub or a bar, the arcade, and the burger stand. I really like these builds and I want to keep them together. This is where I was thinking about adding the ice cream shop and the donut stand. But there isn't quite enough room, so I did decide to condense these builds together a little bit, and I do think that it does look better for it. I did even try adding a cafe onto the end of the street just to fill in the gap, but it just didn't work. So whilst I do think that a cafe would look good somewhere along the beachfront, that one isn't it. So I do expect to be designing a new one sometime soon. At this point, I realised that my new street kind of lacked something. Another fun build. And what is more fun than a trampoline park? I didn't hear anybody say anything because there isn't anything more fun than a trampoline park. I was going to place it at the end to kind of like create a cul-de-sac, but instead I decided to rotate it and kind of create this curved street. It's not actually something that I have a lot of in the city, so it was kind of interesting to make something like this. And in doing this, I realised that I could actually extend the main road across the front of the beach, and it opens up a bunch of possibilities for us to interconnect all of the different parts of the city. This does leave a little bit of a gap though along the actual beachfront, so I decided to shift the bar, arcade and burger stand across to where the trampoline park used to be, which of course left a massive gap itself. So I think that a good build for this, at least for now, I might have to use a different one later, is Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse, because it kind of looks like a kids park or something similar, just a fun, light-hearted build in this area. If I had something like an indoor play area or something like that, then I would have chose to place that instead, but I don't think that Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse is actually bad. It is still technically a playhouse. I then got to thinking about this area in general and how the farm and the campsite needed to take a hike, as we already moved them all the way over into the rural area in the past episode and it didn't really make any sense to keep them around. So I did a little bit of cleaning up here just to make room for any future builds. I'm not that set on completely filling this area up at the moment though. I feel as though that it just leaves room for us to expand the city in future episodes. Speaking of cleaning up, I did want to extend this main road here across and connect it to the motorway. You may remember in the previous episode that we actually added a motorway across the entire back of the city with a road connecting into the more rural area, and I thought that it'd be a good idea to connect that road all the way to the beach so that we are slowly interconnecting everything. And this actually got me thinking about the public transportation in general and how none of my train stations go anywhere or connect to anywhere. But there's an easy way to change that. Starting with the new suburban suburbs train station. I don't really see that train station moving, or at least nowhere in the near future, so I extended the rails outwards. I then placed a copy of that train station next to Jump World, and then joined the tracks in a right angle like this. Later on, I will refine this and make it a lot fancier, but I just thought that it'd be a good idea to just start laying down these foundations for future episodes. I decided to stop myself before I went crazy and extended the entire train network throughout the city, making a huge mess, and I decided to do some tidying up instead. I got rid of some of the builds that we have already used elsewhere, such as Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse, and I condensed all of these random builds that had just kind of got tossed aside. I also wanted to clean up the canal area as well. I made a few changes. I recolored the factory and warehouse in just to a terracotta and stone palette, just so that it's different from everywhere else. I extended the canal to meet the new bit of road, and I just added a dense set of trees around the Mike Myers Halloween house, because I actually really like the location of that house and I don't really want it to change. The last area that needed a little bit of cleaning up was the ocean. I decided to just flatten everything out and turn it into a big rectangle rather than the weird shape that it was. And also add an exit to the underwater tunnel. I don't know if that exit is going to permanently stay there, but at least it actually goes somewhere now. I don't know what to actually do with the ocean itself. Maybe, this is just a maybe, it would be cool to have kind of like an island resort or hotel somewhere just off in the distance that you could travel to. That might be a cool idea. You know what, guys? I think that this is a great place to stop. This is what the beach looked like at the start of this video. And this is what it looks like now. I'm very happy with how this has went, and it was nice to work on a different area of the city for a change. That's it. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and if you have seen anything in this world that you like, every single build in my city has a tutorial. Check down below in the description for the mini city playlist. You will find tutorials for everything, and I guarantee there is something that you like, even if you haven't seen it yet. Goodbye.